Don't you want the story twice? Have no fear, the studio say remake so.
Do you want to start it, or should I start it?
Are you recording?
Yeah, I'm recording.
Yeah, you go ahead and start it. You do the
Okay.
opening and ending. You're good at that.
I'll
You're
do
good at remembering all the things.
intro and the
yeah,
outro?
yeah, those.
Okay. Give me a second to find the script that I have. Hello. Welcome to the third episode of Once More with Feeling, a podcast about great original films and their not-so-great remakes. My name's Gus Schiff. I'm a screenwriter, comedian, and massive history nerd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are.
And then Mariana's
and then you gesture
herself.
toward me, and then I say.
Well, I can't. How am I going to gesture? We're over Zoom.
I mean, I can still see you. It's just the people. The people can't see you. I'm Mariana. I'm a film scholar, communications scholar, and YouTuber, and I make videos about movies. And this is our podcast where we talk.
Once More with Feeling.
Yes.
Oh, I already said that.
You did.
Goddamn. We'll get used to it. One of these days, eventually, I think, latest episode 15, we're gonna get the intro down.
And then we'll sound so professional.
We're gonna
And the sponsorship, we'll have to beat the sponsorships away with a stick.
so fucking professional. We have a song now, maybe. Oh my god. That's
Sunday, he says.
On Sunday.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
It's
Although I
extremely
guess
exciting.
it will have been on the past two episodes too, but
Yes.
we didn't hear it though. Anyway, today's episode we're talking about Disney's third movie. That's right. We're in our Disney season, and we're looking today at Dumbo.
We are. It's Dumbo today. And
It's Dumbo.
it's Dumbo. Okay. So just to start this out, to set the tone for this episode, we talked a little bit last time with Pinocchio about how both of us were not disappointed, but underwhelmed maybe that Snow White is so magical and so enchanting, and both of us were so impressed by how well it held up, and Pinocchio was just all right, it's fine, it's a good movie.
You did it. Good job. We got there. We made another movie.
Yeah, this one for me, Dumbo, holy shit, this movie really got me. It really got
You
to me.
liked it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I watched it a lot when I was a kid, just like Pinocchio, just like Snow White. And there were certainly parts that stuck in my memory that were interesting to revisit. Yeah. But with Pinocchio, as a whole, as an entire complete movie, it just didn't hold up as well as Dumbo does, which is weird because
I actually didn't watch this movie a lot as a kid, and I wasn't sure why, because I had all the Disney movies on VHS. And then I watched the movie and I remembered why I didn't watch this movie.
Because it's horrifying.
It's horrifying, but it's specifically that one pink elephant scene. I was watching it yesterday and I could feel my childhood anxiety coming back.
It's terrifying.
My breath got faster and I started sweating, and I was like, this is bringing up some memories.
Is it anything about the scene, or is it just the scene as a whole?
It's just creepy as fuck.
It is creepy as fuck.
It's the music and all that stuff. But before we talk about all that stuff, let's talk about the very brief history of Dumbo. Mm-hmm. It came out in 1941. It was Disney's fourth animated movie. The one in between Pinocchio and this one was Fantasia, which we're not going to cover because there has not been a live action Fantasia remake.
Blessedly.
Yeah, thank God. Although I don't even know what that would look like. Just imagining Mickey Mouse in the horrible Lion King CGI, and I'm like, oh,
wouldn't
God.
that be horrible? Imagine 2 years from now we're going to be still continuing to do this podcast, and then somebody will the day will come where people will start sending us all these announcements of a live action Fantasia remake, and won't we feel like fools? Oh no.
Oh God.
It's absolutely going to happen.
So it came out in October 1941. A little brief history lesson on what happened in the year because Pinocchio, I think, was like February 1940. So in the year and a half roughly since Pinocchio came out, the war has expanded. France is gone, doesn't exist anymore. It's now Vichy France and occupied France. The UK has been under pretty consistent attack from the Luftwaffe. The Battle of Britain. Actually, I looked this up. It ends on October 31st, the day that Dumbo comes out. So you're welcome.
Oh my gosh. Happy Halloween.
Yeah. Planes are a giant deal right now. And I think it's seen by a lot of Americans as the way that the war is being fought in Europe because, of course, the Eastern Front against the Soviets had not opened up yet. So it's really the World War II at this time. If you ignore what's happening in Asia, which you shouldn't, but a lot of Americans did at the time, the war is basically like fighter planes. And that actually like shows up a little bit. That influence shows up in the original Dumbo, which I thought was really interesting.
It is really interesting.
And we'll get that, when we get there. The U.S. is still not in the war, of course, although it's only about a month and a half before we join because of the attack on Pearl Harbor, which happens on December 7th, 1941. So Disney's approach to Dumbo is very tied in with their financial failures of Pinocchio and Fantasia. Both of those movies were very, very expensive. And you can tell by looking at it. They're gorgeous. They're detailed. There's a lot of work went into everything. And they're pretty long. They're almost about 90 minutes. I'm going to burp real quick so we can cut this out. Fantasia and Pinocchio, both pretty long. As far as animated movies go, they didn't do well. They were super expensive, and they needed international markets to recoup that cost. But of course, like you had to literally ship, as we talked about last episode, like you had to put film on a boat and send it over, and that just wasn't happening. The European and Asian markets were closed to American film just because of the war, and so Disney needed something cheap, massively appealing, and simple to make. And so one of his animators like brings him this book. And this is really interesting because, Disney made a lot of stuff based on other properties, and Dumbo's no exception, except that the thing that it's based on, like, not only does it not exist, but it never actually made it to market. Sorry, not exist anymore, but it never made it to market.
Oh, weird.
It was this thing. It was this thing called a roll-a-book, which is as best as I can describe, and as best as I could tell from the patent. It's basically like, what if a book was in like an Etch-a-Sketch box, but instead of the knobs making a magnet draw things, it made the book go forward.
I can see why that didn't catch on.
Yeah. One book came out, and then Dumbo was like the next book that was supposed to come out, and it just didn't. I think the company like collapsed or something. But the person who wrote the book like got the book to Disney. Disney was like, this is amazing. Bought it to turn it into a movie, basically. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, and it's really short too, right?
It is.
Dumbo's 64 minutes, and it only costs like $950,000 roughly, according to Box Office Mojo, which is the only source I could find. Put that into context: Snow White costs about $1.5 million, and Pinocchio costs about $2.5 million. So his cheapest feature film.
$2.5 million. Jesus.
Yeah, at the time.
Yeah.
Right. And even still, like
that's a lot of money.
that 950K is like something like $20 million in today's money. So it's like not like cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than the other movies. And it is short, right? I already said that, but I'm saying it again. 64 minutes.
It is short. Yeah, no, it's worth repeating.
I wanted to see if that was like, because Snow White's kind of short for a modern movie. It's like 80 something minutes, 86 minutes. Pinocchio's kind of short for a modern movie. I wanted to see like, was that in the style of movies at the time? The short answer is absolutely not. The most popular movie of the era, the movie that beat out Snow White for the biggest blockbuster, a movie called Gone with the Wind, is 4 hours long. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was like the time in movie making where the standard was kind of still theater shows, and those are hella long. That's like, you're looking at like a 3-hour evening with an intermission in between, and a lot of these movies did have intermissions, and it was just like there wasn't a whole lot else to do. Yeah, it's like go to the movies
Do we know
all day.
when the last like in film in theater intermission was? Like in movie theater intermission?
No, I don't have any idea.
I know there's like I know like Lawrence of Arabia has an intermission.
Yeah,
but-
Sound of Music. When did Sound of Music come out? 50?
Does it really?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
What?
That's why
I
it
don't
came in
remember
that
that.
2-part VHS box set.
You're blowing my mind.
You're aghast right now.
Yeah, that's
This is such a
crazy.
film nerd conversation.
Weird. Yeah. Okay. A couple more things about Dumbo. One, and this is something. I mean, well, I guess we can just start talking about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the things that I noticed right away, and this is also something that came up in the research, is it's very cartoony.
Yeah.
So much more than Snow White and Pinocchio, and not that you need to have watched this for the podcast, but also more cartoony than Fantasia. Which it's interesting to see like those three movies be sort of more like serious. That's like animation, and Dumbo is much more of a cartoon. And I thought that was really cool.
It is.
Really interesting.
It is interesting. It's a lot flatter. It's less complicated, but I don't like it. It's super interesting to watch these like sort of back to back, and see what kinds of artistry they're retaining, even if the quality is necessarily not, quite there. Like the way that they animate animal movement is so pretty. It's
gorgeous.
It's so good. It like in very much the same vein as like we talked about with Snow White, the sort of respect it takes for the subject of your film to study it and figure out how it emotes and what is possible to replicate in the way that like an elephant whose body plan is so alien to the human body plan, like how do you get an elephant to move and emote in a way that is going to read properly to the human eye? Something the new one really struggles with, but like the shots with like Mrs. Jumbo, like reaching toward the little, like the baby, like, bags that are falling from the sky. It's so sweet. It's so good. The way that like those shots of how Dumbo's like kind of swaying back and forth when he's kind of trying to self-soothe, like these are such elephant characteristics. That just come across so well.
Yeah, and I think they had that level of detail in all of the animals. Like, I remember the giraffe, the baby giraffe in particular. I was like, they definitely like brought a giraffe in, or they went to the zoo. And then I looked it up, and they did. It's interesting to see like what they spent money on. What was important to like the Disney style, the Disney ethos at the time, and part of that $950,000 was to bring these animals into the studio for animators to make like reference sketches and stuff. And I think it really paid off.
It does. And I like maybe they're still doing that today, maybe, but I really wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. I really wouldn't be surprised if animators just looked up videos or something, and that's what they were expected to do, which I think can't result in a similar thing. Like, no, you got to go hang out with an animal, you gotta like,
you need that 3D.
It has to have weight,
look.
Which is exactly what so much CG completely lacks, is weight. I mean,
that is what it is. It feels like, it feels so floaty. It feels so
just insubstantial.
It feels dreamlike in a bad way.
Yeah.
The way that so much film with the 24 frames per second, and with back when the medium was mostly film, the way that feels sort of like good insubstantial, CGI feels bad insubstantial.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, we're not talking about the new one yet, but the shot that's so emblematic of that for me is when Danny DeVito steps out of his, like, I don't know, circus carriage or whatever. And the monkey is on his back, like fucking with him. And he's like turning his head to look at the monkey. But the animation doesn't match what he's doing at all. And it's just like, it's just completely illegible. Like it takes you a second to like figure out what's happening and like meet the movie where it's at, you know? Like I will say for the new one, the elephants are super thick. They feel like they have some weight, and that's good. But like, you don't need to spend millions and millions of dollars rendering that. Is what the original one makes so clear to me, that like, this is just lines and gray. And they're pulling it off
in the tint.
Yeah.
It's
amazing. It's so pretty.
It's really good. I really enjoyed, like, I thought it was like kind of refreshing coming from the more serious animation into this one, where like now you've got like the train doing cartoon train stuff, and like the clowns doing cartoon clown stuff, and things working a little bit more on like that cartoon logic. I mean, you can see so much of whatever Disney's shorts are called, either Silly Symphonies or Merry Melodies. I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it's Silly Symphonies. I think Merry Melodies is
Warner
Brothers knockoff.
Yeah, Silly Symphonies. And just seeing a lot of that like slapsticky sort of bouncy animation thing that's really excellent, and that, you know, you don't see in the other movies very intentionally. But it was really nice to see. It was really fun. It was cute. And it makes shots like, you know, I think living in that more cartoon world can lead to some very interesting things, like the you know, satellite view of the southeastern United States being just a map. That was fun.
Yeah,
and I can buy into that. And when they did the version that they did in the live action movie, I was like, that looks like shit. You know.
Yeah.
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 What was I going to say? Oh, there was something. But then also, like, yes, it is cartoony in style, but oh my God, like Dumbo is so dark, you know?
Yeah.
It's a super dark movie. And the way that they pull that off with this kind of animation style is pretty remarkable, I think, where it's like they're still taking themselves seriously. It's just, you know, a matter of asking the animators to, let's, like, you know, Disney needs to turn a profit. Let's get this done with, you know, a slightly smaller budget and fewer resources, but do the best you absolutely can with those resources. You know?
Absolutely. And I think something that's really impressive and really speaks to their expertise in the medium, putting on my film professor glasses, is how well they switch between those tones. They switch between the cartooniness and the more seriousness, and they use each element of those styles to like the best of their abilities.
And also,
you know what I mean?
When it's like cartoony and when they're doing that sort of slapsticky kind of Disney bouncy, you know, rubber physics type thing, it's still like the entire movie just like has this kind of tint of threat. You know, like it's like all the clowns are freaky, you know. All the lighting in every scene pretty much is like kind of freaky. But like especially the clown, and I'm like, I mean, I was always gonna love this movie. I was always gonna love it on revisitation, you know, because I love clowns. I love the circus. I love animals. Like, this is the movie for me. I love dark stories about the crushing weight of capitalism. Let's go. But like the way that the clowns behave is so inhuman, and so different from, for example, the roustabouts, who are pretty, you know, just sort of like, they look like people. They look like buff guys, you know.
The roustabouts.
Buff black guys specifically, which we will get
at
into
the beginning of the movie. Those guys? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the clowns were creepy. I wrote in my notes, this is clown slander.
It is clown slander.
Yeah.
But like this movie is doing. I think man, I don't know. I love this movie a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's doing something really special, and I think that it's. I don't know. I think it's kind of revealing something about the era it was made in. That's very true and very interesting, and it's not quite clear to me how much of that was on purpose and what was just sort of like an
just
effect of people approaching their art, you know, within intensity.
That's the world they lived in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I have noticed some of that too. I mean, there was some like sort of very there was a line, I think, like the bitchy elephant said, mean elephant lady. She was like, "We're such a proud race," and I was like, "Is this about Nazis?" Like, there's a lot, and I think that really speaks to the point of like it's very much a product of its time, of like it being, you know, made in. I think they started production at the end of 1939, maybe 1940, like. You know, Germany doing its whole invasion thing, but also like, you know, the 8 or 9 years before that the Nazis rose to power, and you know, there were as was the case in most entertainment at the time, like a lot of Jews worked on this project, and so kind of makes sense that there's this sort of anti-master race theme to it, which is such a crazy thing to say, because it's like you think Dumbo and the last thing you think is like it's anti-Nazi propaganda, but I think it might be. The
vibe I get is like of a lot of people having really strong feelings about a lot of social issues that they can't quite articulate properly, like the language didn't exist yet.
Or they weren't like allowed to.
Sure. I
mean, the language.
Either way,
the language existed.
I mean, the language existed, but it's like this is so much a story about exploitation, and especially internalized exploitation, where it's like there are so many layers of authority in this movie, and so many layers of exploitation as a result of that authority that, like, you know. Between animals themselves, between humans and animals, between different classes of humans, and all of them just sort of subservient to the giant, machine of the circus. Gus, how familiar are you with Siegfried Krakauer and the Mass Ornament?
Not at all. Well, tell me about Siegfried Krakauer and the Massive Ornament.
So Siegfried Krakauer was a film theorist that you're always exposed to in undergrad film school. He was of the Frankfurt School, very influenced by...
I did not go to undergrad film school.
You did
not. I went to graduate film school, so I skipped him. I went right to Pauline Kael and nobody else.
So Krakauer was, in fact, I think he was German, and was obviously very, very influenced by the World Wars and the sort of... the kinds of cultural analysis that came out of those wars, especially, you know, as all of these different forms of mass media were emerging. He was part of what is now called the Frankfurt School. It's like, group of mostly Marxist culture scholars from Frankfurt, Germany. One of his most famous essays is called The Mass Ornament, and it's in response to this effect that he was seeing in culture around the time, which you can see straight on through like the basically the fall of the big studio era, and the rise of more independent cinema, of this sort of like weird obsession with like synchronized dances and especially like synchronized dances from above, that you're like making this giant design with all these people. The example Krakauer uses is this like this performance troupe called the Tiller Girls, who are very much like the Radio City Rockettes is a perfect example of this. And like what Krakauer is interested in is how disembodied everybody who's a part of what he calls this mass ornament is. That like it's all these like it's typically a bunch of scantily clad women, but it's not eroticized at all. Like the camera is, or the choreographers don't seem very interested in like sexualizing or they are objectifying these women, but they're not sexualizing them. There's nothing erotic about it. It's just the production of this giant, machine, this mass ornament, just all these people coming together to make this thing that does nothing, is for nothing, and then falls apart. And that's, he says, essentially what capitalism does as well. And so, I have a quote here. He says, the mass ornament is the aesthetic reflex of the rationality to which the prevailing economic system aspires. Everyone does his or her task on the conveyor belt, performing a partial function without grasping the totality. Like the pattern in the stadium, the organization stands above the masses, a monstrous figure whose creator withdraws it from the eyes of its bearers and barely even observes it himself. And this is the kind of cultural condition that he's sort of diagnosing in what would become the American cultural century that the U.S. was building at that time.
Right. So, in more understandable English, is that just like a lot of people are doing stuff for no other reason than because they think they're supposed to do it.
Yeah. Then just to make the thing. And the uselessness of the thing is half the point, Right.
And so how does that relate to the original Dumbo?
I'll tell you, it relates to the original Dumbo because that's essentially what everybody in this movie is doing. Like, I love circuses, but like, and we can get to this more when we talk about the new one, but like one of the main differences between how the new one and the old one treat the circus is that in the old one, it is a mass ornament. It's not really a circus. You don't see anything like fun that the circus is doing. You just see how it's exploiting everybody who's a part of it.
Right.
It's
when you say fun thing that the circus, because I have not been to the circus a lot, the real circus. I have only been one time. And everything that I saw was like clowns doing stuff and acrobats doing stuff. And I don't think they had animals anymore. But like, didn't they show that in the movie? The clown act and
They show the clown act while they're abusing this baby elephant.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, other than that, no, they don't really show the clown act. They show the arrival of the circus in town, and that's pretty much as fun as it gets,
That was one of my favorite parts of the movie.
It's nice, yeah. It is fun.
The circus arriving. That was good.
It is good. But it seems like this movie is kind of allergic to portraying very much about this circus that isn't directly involved with the exploitation of its laborers. You know what I mean? From the very beginning.
So you're saying that like that element of it was this sort of like representative of like the silent struggle of the people working on the movie at the time.
I mean,
like,
that
all
is,
these themes are coming out and we don't know why, but we're just gonna put it there.
That is something that there is some conjecture among film scholars that like, so I don't know if this came up in your research, but there was a strike. There was a strike against this.
1941 strike.
Yeah. And I don't know how that resolved. Maybe you do.
So I don't know. Some people got paid, I guess.
Regardless of how it resolved, like there's a bunch of conjecture that the clowns sort of saying like, oh, let's like, make Dumbo jump from higher and we can do the same thing, and let's go to the boss and make him pay us more. Yeah. To do this. He treats us so poorly, whatever. Like there's a conjecture that that's the sort of, I don't know about cry for help, but like, that's a sort of complaint by the production team against Disney. I don't know if that's true, but it is most certainly the case that everybody in this movie is concerned with their relative status within this giant machine that does nothing. This, like, we're tearing families apart in this movie for what? You know, like, what is the point of this circus? What is it doing that it justifies all this cruelty, you know? So Dumbo's a tragedy.
Yeah. But it's a really fun tragedy.
Is it fun?
I think it's fun.
I don't know.
Except for the pink elephant part. I had a good time.
I mean, the pink elephant part. So, like, the pink elephant part. I do think that there's and this is what's like cool and fun about animation and about fiction, that like you can fuck around with a bunch of different themes at once, and the movie can be about all of them at once.
Right.
You know,
right.
This movie is to my perception, very much about not just circuses or whatever, and not just like toxic workplaces or whatever, but specifically about the entertainment industry, you know, right. That like Pink Elephants, I don't think Pink Elephants comes out of nowhere, you know, like it fits in the movie itself. Like,
so this is something, so the Pink Elephants part, as I mentioned earlier, terrified me as a child because it's like, it's creepy music. The movement of the thing, it just kind of feels wrong.
Yeah.
The colors are like garish and scary. It did to me what the Willy Wonka tunnel did to many other kids. Not me for some reason. Even though, like, as you well know, I'm a fucking coward when it comes to watching movies. Like, it took me, I didn't watch Alien until I was 27. And it wasn't that bad. Like, I could have watched it when I was 22.
Yeah, oh my God, pulling teeth to try and get you to watch The Sixth Sense with me. And you loved it.
Yeah, it was a great movie. But it also, like, everyone's like, oh, it's a horror movie. It's a horror movie. That's not a horror movie. That is a supernatural drama, and it's really good.
It is a horror movie. It's absolutely a horror movie.
There's 2 horror parts. Whatever. Anyway, so the thing, so the bubble thing, and this did come up in my research, which is seeing pink elephants is an old euphemism for being drunk.
Right.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either until I saw your notes.
Yeah, yeah, and I think like that's a really cool. I think that's always interesting when you're doing, like, I guess any sort of historical thing or any sort of criticism is like, you know, maybe there is something to read into the pink elephant thing. Maybe it's also like they started with the idea of that's what people say, let's make it literal on screen. You know, which doesn't mean there's not stuff to read into, because like certainly like people have an unconscious stuff.
Well,
and
I mean,
and whatever.
So like I think an artist hears a director tell them, hey, pink elephants, let's put that on screen, and comes up with the pink elephants on parade sequence. I think that a business person or, you know, some kind of executive masquerading as an artist hears, I don't know, something, the storks, let's say. We have the storks in the movie. Okay, so the storks fly into frame and then they leave. And that's the storks in the, you know what I mean? Like,
this is a very anti-executive podcast. I'm gonna be my career's gonna be so fucked if anybody listens to this in any significant numbers. We have a Patreon now.
But it's like, it's one thing to say what you want in a movie and another to make it, and just sort of and just be okay with whatever the result is. And if the movie is good, and you know, a movie being good in this case involves you know, actual intention and sincerity of purpose, then even a sequence like that, like, I have no idea how exactly how intentional it was and what exactly they meant to say. But within the context of that movie, like, it's a genuinely very upsetting and unsettling and disturbing plot point. You know,
Right.
it's not out of nowhere. It's like
This child getting drunk is disturbing to you?
because like it's not just the child getting drunk. It's like it's a facet of what the entertainment industry turns you into. You know that
Right.
so you're born into a particular system. You know,
Right.
and Dumbo is immediately put to work. You know,
Right.
and it's immediately made clear that he must prove his worth to this system that is waiting for any signal that he's not being profitable enough to them, whether through status or money or whatever. And you don't hate your job, and you think your job is pretty fun. Like he's a cheerful guy, and he's friendly, and he wants to perform, you know. But like that job and what it requires just crushes him further and further and further into depression, and like nobody is
and then he becomes a star, and he's famous forever, and his life is good. And so is his mom's life. She's on a cruise liner on the train. She has her own little hot tub. Anyway, yeah, life sucks unless you're famous. That's a really great moral, I think. No, but I think that's really interesting because whatever the intention of the artist or lack of intention or whatever, it's clear that like in this movie, even though it's very mass market, even though it's simple, even though it's marketed to kids, oh my god, I'm trying to say like less, it's not working very well, but even though all those things, there's still so many elements where you can feel someone like put some part of themselves into the movie.
Totally.
You know, like the pink elephant part, like
but I mean, like the point I was making about the pink elephant part is that like Dumbo gets to a spot where like the only simulacrum of joy he's capable of experiencing, maybe through the assistance of a substance, maybe not, you know, who knows? But certainly with the assistance of some kind of vice, if you get to a certain point in the entertainment industry and you become unlucky, then you are sort of relegated to this weird, like, dissociated, like, surreal, vaguely menacing, hedonistic slurry, you know?
Yeah.
It's so dark.
Yeah.
That's
It
show
almost-
business.
Yeah, I mean, it almost kind of feels like with the expansion of various social medias and creator economy, etc., that is not an entertainment specific malaise.
I don't think it's not that it's entertainment specific. I think that entertainment has suffused the rest of our personal lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's that there's no substantive divide between what is personal and what is performance. And we already have this established expectation of what entertainment and the sort of trappings of entertainment looks like, you know?
Yeah.
Very dark.
That's dark as shit. I do want to talk about the Crows a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about the Crows.
Because the Crows is definitely the part of the movie that makes you go, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess it was made in the 40s.
Yeah.
The main crow is now known as Dandy Crow, but at the time was called Jim Crow. We know this because in the Variety review, he's credited as Jim Crow. He's actually voiced by the same guy who did Jiminy Cricket. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ukulele Ike.
Yeah, but all the other crows
Cliff
are
Edwards.
black
all
guys.
the other crows are not only black guys, but they're from like the same extremely popular black guy chorus. They're also the 5 like best characters in the movie.
They are
just,
the
like,
best
morally.
characters, they are like I
Yeah.
think that's something to consider in a big way. You know,
Yeah.
like that's not a trivial point. You know,
No. And it leads to this very interesting discussion that I'm certainly not qualified to talk about, but I'm gonna soldier on through. Which is like there's some obvious levels of like minstrelsy here.
Totally.
With the crows, but like it's not that bad. That's not what I meant to say.
The uncertainty on your face.
Let's cut that.
So
here's that one.
I mean, the thing is, like, this is kind of this is maybe kind of what I mean when I say that, like, the language to express certain things wasn't really there at the time. And the way that entertainment and certain expectations of Black entertainment happened at the time looked like this. This is kind of how anything Black coded, this is what white audiences expected to see. You know, okay. It's is it good that they're portrayed this way? No. But this is what we have, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's worth considering what there is to look at when we accept that this is what we have. I think it's a lazy form of analysis to announce that this thing is racist, and aren't I a genius for noticing that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That sucks, because that's most of what I had prepared. Yeah, one of the things it's just always so interesting to me, and it shouldn't be, because I studied like, not only did I study U.S. history in college, I studied this specific time period and this company, although in a slightly different context. But every time I go back into my little history research books, and I'm like, wow, it's kind of weird that this like famous folk singer is doing what Variety called Negro dialect.
Yeah.
And nobody batted an eye.
Yeah.
That was just like a normal thing. And like it's just weird.
Well,
like
I mean, it's so fucking fascinating to me, because like maybe I'm completely off the mark with this, but like the vibe I get with phrases like that is that like phrases like Negro dialect. Ugh, that felt wrong to say.
Yeah.
Like people thought of that as a performance style. It wasn't a way of life. It wasn't a matter of culture, you know. Yeah. And that's what's fucked about this, you know. Like that's why minstrelsy is so awful, because it's like it is a form of clowning. It's like taking Black life and Black oppression and making a fucking joke out of it, you know,
right.
And calling it and you know, turning it into this like weird little fetish to laugh at and joke about, and it's super gross. And yet within that context, like I think I looked at a couple of articles that make a similar analysis, but like I think there's a pretty fair argument to be made that the elephants in this movie, if not coded, I don't think they're coded Black, but they are certainly coded as an underclass in the same way.
Elephants?
Definitely in the same way that Black people
are.
are.
I didn't feel that.
So there's two serious complaints of racism in this movie, and the most obvious one is the crows.
Yeah.
The other one is the roustabouts, who are the guys who set up the circus. I found an article by a film scholar named Mark Langer, who said, in keeping with, and like the lyrics are super racist to their song, obviously, and they're all like big buff Black guys who are animated really interestingly and really well, but you know, to our point here, are faceless, all of them. Right. And Langer says, in keeping with Disney's moral vision, the low status of the circus roustabouts is depicted as a result of their own character defects. They say that, you know, like, we get our pay and then we throw it away. And that may be the intention of the lyrics themselves. However, I don't think that you can say that and then say that that's an unqualified aspect about what this movie is saying when the scene is explicitly equating the roustabouts with the elephants, who have no supposed character defects, but are doing the same work the roustabouts are doing. The elephants are setting up the circus tent with them, you know? It's mostly them doing the work, you know? And then, I mean, this has nothing to do with being coded black, but it's certainly a matter of, you know, internalized racism and respectability politics. Like the way that, you know, head bitch elephant is constantly talking about what a proud race we are, and how elephants must always have dignity or whatever. And it's like, you're a circus animal, you know. There is no dignity here for you. Nobody cares about you, you know. And that lack of care, that like deep carelessness that everything about this circus and its industry is like wrapped up in all these assumptions of what is the proper way to behave, and how you maximize the level of respect or money or status is available to you in this system that hates you, you know?
Right. So
when so after Pink Elephants, when they wake up in the tree and the crows are there, then the crows don't work for anybody, you know?
Yeah.
The crows are who they are. And they're like free. They're the only ones who change their minds. They're fun. They're like, they're the only good people in the whole movie.
They have the best song in the movie.
They do, absolutely.
Fucking mile.
So like, there's all this like super interesting treatment of, class, but also class as a function of race and vice versa. That these are things that feed into each other, and they're not wrapped up in, in any specific culture. Like the elephants like I said, they're not coded black. The elephants are just coded underclass. We're talking about a society that, much like, you know, the clowns and everybody who has anything to say about elephants in this movie, you know, the clowns talking about how like elephants don't have feelings, they're made of rubber, you know.
Right.
This is an assumption of racism. Donald Trump last week was talking about how some people are just like, he was trying to like, it kind of sounded like he was trying to pay this weird compliment to Mexican laborers.
Yeah.
And said that like some people are just like built to work in the fields, you know. And that like we're talking like this is what supremacy ideology and supremacy mindsets are all about, no matter what kind of, you know, marginalized group you're talking about, where it's like the assumption of racism is that whoever the underclass is just doesn't have very much of an internal emotional life.
Right.
Or
right.
the ability to have feelings, you know.
There's some intrinsic difference between me and all of my rich inner life.
Yeah, exactly.
And desires. And then that whole group of people.
Yeah, that whole group
That's
of
totally
people
true.
has no feelings, has no imagination, you know, can't get hurt, whatever.
I definitely, I'm not going to argue that at the time period, you know, black Americans were seen as second class. I don't think they were like the only group, and I don't.
Of course
think
not.
it was synonymous.
No,
Okay,
of course not.
yeah.
That's not what I'm saying for sure.
Okay, totally.
The only thing I'm saying is it relates to the presence of blackness in this movie specifically. Is that blackness was the most visible underclass.
Sure.
Certainly to society at large, but especially to entertainment society. That like we're already talking about an entertainment industry that has over and over again adopted and co-opted black forms of performance style and art, and said, awesome, I made this.
Yeah.
And I, in my boundless generosity, will allow you black performers
to have pennies.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that's what's going on here, I think.
Sure.
You know. I think the important thing is to respect, I don't even know about respect. I think the important thing is to accept that this was made in a particular time period, and the kinds of cultural inflections that are going to be on characters like the Crows, it's never going to be different. Like this is what it is. That time period was racist as a matter of systems. You know,
it wasn't even like it wasn't like it's not even racist how we view racism. It was just true.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. It was just a fact of life that like this whole group of people is just worse than you, which is obviously not true.
I mean, you know, even in like, you know, the besides the sort of minstrel cues, which is a matter of the culture of the time, which was again super racist and cursed and horrific. Like, I don't think that's, you know, again, not a hot take, you know, but it's like it's the portrayal of, you know, Black culture being sort of inseparable from poverty, you know, from what people at the time would have understood as laziness, you know, whatever, raucousness. They're not what people at the time would consider dignified or whatever. But in that way, I think times have fucking changed. And I think it's possible to look at this movie and those characters and think, these guys are fucking awesome. They're great. Like, these guys are such a good time, you know? And what is in context deeply offensive for that era, I think reads differently now. And especially if you're choosing, as I do, to accept Dumbo as kind of a metaphor for any kind of racism, or classism, or any kind of hierarchical superiority mindset, whatever. Like, the good representation here is that this movie, at least in the beginning, is a story about motherhood, which everybody experiences, you know? It's a story about the injustice of a mother, like, loving her child and wanting to do the best she can for him, and, you know, that just not being a possibility in the specifically economic conditions that you know, she's brought this child into, you know,
because they're trapped in this circle.
They're slaves.
Yeah,
that's what they are.
Okay,
they are. What are they?
Animals.
They're animals in the new one. In the old one, they're slaves.
Okay. All right.
Because they're personified. You're supposed to accept that they're people.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, man. That movie's so much more depressing than it was like an hour ago.
I wept watching this movie. Man, this movie really got to me. I don't know.
Okay. What was your favorite song in the movie?
Baby Mine is one of my favorite songs, period.
Okay. Not the one I was going to guess.
No, I can't get through that song or that scene without crying. The way it's edited, the way it's animated, like, that shot. Oh my God, that shot, you know, where I'm going to fucking cry, dude. Like, that shot where Dumbo starts crying and, like, smushes his little face into his mom's stomach. Oh my God. No such moment in the new one, obviously.
No, not even.
What was your favorite song?
Do you want to guess?
Yes, it was When I See an Elephant Fly? Is that what it's called?
It is When I See an Elephant Fly.
It's a banger song.
I fucking love that song. I don't know. I like jazz a lot.
Yeah.
It's a very jazzy song.
It is a very jazzy song.
So
again, like, this was the time period. It's like there's no separating these two elements of American cultural history. If you accept the good things about American cultural history, you also have to accept that
the bad things.
Yeah, you have to accept that they're inflected by an unbelievable amount of pain and cruelty and evil, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it'd be, you know, just sort of best for everybody's artistic and media literacy to accept that that's the case, you know? And you're never going to feel completely good about a movie like this. But just because you can't feel completely good about it doesn't mean that you can't feel a little bit good about it, you know?
Yeah.
So, you want to talk about the new one?
Let's talk about the new one. Yeah, I didn't like it.
It sucks
very much.
It's
not
really bad.
Good.
It's,
what I wrote, it started. I watched them back to back because I forgot that we were recording this week, and literally like 15 seconds in, I just wrote in my notes. I wrote ass opening right there. I guess it's backwards for you.
What was?
Yeah.
It is an ass opening. What is it about it to you?
Well, it's just like coming in from like Dumbo, which starts on this really great shot of the storks and the really fun like Florida map, and it's colorful and it's great and it's interesting and there's movement, and then you get this like weirdly gray, like everything looks composited, if not outright fake, and I'm like, why didn't you just shoot it all together? Like, I saw in your notes that this movie, and we'll talk about this more, it cost $170 million to make. You're telling me you couldn't like build a set? Like you couldn't just do that? You couldn't like take us into this world? You know, Dumbo doesn't show up for like 15 minutes. I was stuck with these kids and Colin Farrell.
Yes, not fur.
Colin Farrell, who I legitimately thought was Ron Livingston for like 10 minutes. And it's like he's missing an arm, but like I don't know why he's missing, you know? Oh shit! I wanted to talk more about World War II with Dumbo 1.
Okay. Let's talk about it now,
Okay,
and I can splice it in.
Yeah. So the big thing for me, and I want to share my screen, just because I think it's really interesting.
Okay, I think I need to allow you to. 1 second.
Yeah. Or if you just want to go to like newspaper screenshots in the Dumbo folder.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I just want to talk about really briefly we've been talking about the real world creeping into Dumbo. It's done so in a lot more specific ways. There's a couple of newspaper spins at the end of the movie, remember? And I really wanted to see what the rest of the headlines were, so I paused it and I screenshotted it. You'll see it says, "Wonder Elephant Soars to Fame, Miracle Mammoth Startles the World." It's Dumbo flying around the Statue of Liberty with bomber goggles on. Like that's a big,
yeah.
He has like World War II aviator like a bomber helmet and goggles on. And then you look at the other ones.
Oh, how weird!
Some of them are really small and they're hard to see. But one you have says Britain in greatest offensive. You have mediation plan submitted to president. There's a component of this movie that's like air power will win the war.
Yeah. How weird.
One of the the fourth newspaper, it's Dumbo shaped airplanes and it says dumb bombers for defense. And I just thought that was so interesting to put like,
this is fascinating.
Because again,
what a
US
good idea.
US was not
on
in the
you.
war yet.
It's a very good idea for you to do this.
Thank you. US was not in the war yet, but the thing about World War II was that Hollywood was very pro-intervention because so many people there either were or had relatives who were from Germany. Because when the Germans kicked the Jews out, or when they started encouraging the Jews to leave by killing other Jews, a lot of them fled to the U.S. Not enough. You know, the U.S. at one point turned away 200,000 Jews who almost all ended up dead in the concentration camps. But it's just one of those things that's really interesting to see. Like, it's very prescient.
Yeah.
because like there like Hollywood was big on intervention. Most of the country was very like, let's stay out of it. Let's not fight. Let's not do it. Until the war started, or until Pearl Harbor. So I just thought that was really interesting and something worth mentioning. If you look at the one newspaper that shows up in the new movie, same broad thing. Wonder Elephant soars to fame. Miracle Mammoth startles the world. Our reporter attests the tale of Dumbo is true. And then that becomes like a subplot in the movie where it's like some people don't believe that Dumbo can really fly, even though he has giant ears. So like, but then you see, radical leftists arrested and deported. You see Russian Civil War nearing end, and you see athletes prepare for Antwerp Summer Olympics. Antwerp Summer Olympics were 1920. Colin Firth, not Ron Livingston,
and not Colin Firth either, Colin Farrell.
Oh, Colin Farrell, shit. Colin Farrell, not Colin Firth or Ron Livingston. He's, World War I vet. So for some reason, like, I didn't totally get why they did this, but they made Dumbo happen in like 1919 as opposed to original Dumbo, which is like current times. I don't know, just something I noticed. Anyway.
Oh, current times as in World War II times.
Like, Dumbo, the original Dumbo happened in like 1940.
Yeah.
When the movie came out, 1940.
Right.
New Dumbo happened in like 1919 for some reason.
Yes. Yeah, they were trying to.
I don't know why.
This movie's a fucking mess, dude. Like, it seems like aesthetically, they're trying to. Well, I mean, they're trying to, give a lot of Art Deco stuff to Tim Burton for him to play around with, But they're also. It seems like they're setting up this. I don't know, this arc for Colin Farrell about what exactly? Like
Colin. Colin.
So, like, he's lost an arm in the war.
Yeah.
So what? Does that ever like? What does that do?
There was some element of like Danny DeVito gives him a fake arm.
Yes.
Which he like wears. I actually wrote in my notes. Is Colin going to be missing an arm the whole time? It's distracting. And not that like amputees are distracting, of course, but just that like we all know that Colin has two arms. It doesn't really seem to do anything other than remind us that he was in the war.
And it's super weird too, because when Danny DeVito gives him that arm, there's an air of like, well, you should just accept him the way he is,
Yeah.
But that never really comes back either. Like
yeah. Well, there's like at the end of the movie, he's like, I don't need this arm. I'm good the way I am. I don't think he says that exactly, but that's the message. But it's like that you haven't struggled with that.
Right.
Like you
seem like you're doing fine.
Yeah, your difficulty is that you're really bad at being a father. Like when does that like come back? So dude, I don't know. It might have legitimately just been like the height of Hollywood's like disability representation.
Well, I think so I think I mean, this is an interesting thing about how I think they're perceiving Dumbo as a story that like I kept seeing when I was looking at reviews and production notes and whatever, like people were using the term disability in the same way, like in this, I don't know, in this, it's sort of interchangeably with flaw, and
I don't love
that either, and I super don't love that, I mean, even if I was okay with that, Dumbo doesn't have a disability.
Yeah. Dumbo is an X-Man, but an elephant.
Dumbo arguably has a deformity, but also he's a fucking elephant. Yeah, they got big ears,
Yeah.
Like, so what? Like it's such a misread of what Dumbo's ears are doing in the story, because like what is happening is that he has this completely unmerited defect, you know, that isn't important, that ends up being you know, a super advantage for him, but that nobody should care about, you know.
I mean, it's fully just an ugly duckling story.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really bizarre to like put Dumbo against this war veteran with a missing arm and half-assedly imply that these are like two sides of the same coin. It doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it wasn't great. And then it's like, I just want to, like, just on the story, like on the story side of it a little bit. You know, Dumbo in the first movie, he doesn't, and you have this in your notes, so sorry for stealing it.
Step all over it. Go ahead.
He finds out he can fly in like the last 3 minutes of the movie. It's the climax of the film. You know, it's the thing that comes right before it, and they all lived happily ever after. And then here, it's like the like beginning of Act 2.
Yeah, that was actually one of my biggest, you know, not that I was looking into this before, but retrospectively, or in 2019 or whatever, but retrospectively, there are a few quotes from some people who worked on this movie that should have been a major red flag to anybody who actually cared about, you know, making this into a movie that's passable. And one of them is the screenwriter Aaron Kruger, who said,
who, by the way, spelled his own first name incorrectly, which that's so embarrassing for him. I'm sorry, Aaron.
You're not at
You're
all.
You're very accomplished. Congratulations.
He's very accomplished, but have you seen his, I have it here. What a weird career he has had.
You know, you take the jobs where you can
I
get
guess Ghost in the Shell, 5 of the Transformers movies, The Ring and The Ring 2, and Top Gun Maverick. Okay. So he said, when asked, let's see, where is it? I wondered if Dumbo were a real flying elephant in a circus, in an actual circus in the golden age of circuses, how would he affect the people existing in that world? I wanted to explore how the people of the circus world would relate to Dumbo's journey. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Why do you care about how it would... It's not the people's story. It's Dumbo's story. Yeah. Who cares about how the people would react?
Yeah.
You know?
I feel this... So there's a problem right now in Hollywood and since Hollywood has become so fucking IP obsessed, there's been a very real issue of like writers getting and showrunners getting put on IP who are like, I have a sci-fi story I really want to tell, but I'm thinking very specifically of a very specific show, but because I can't sell an original sci-fi idea anymore, I have to take my sci-fi idea and like tell it through this intellectual property, and now everyth's bad.
Yeah, it's so bizarre too, because that's the thing. Like, I'm thinking very specifically about Hellraiser is the example I go to because I made a video on it once, where like Hellraiser, so there are 12 Hellraiser, 13 I think maybe.
There's 13 Hellraisers? Have you done a video on Hellraiser?
Yeah.
Can I, if I were to watch your video, how could I find it?
Well, Gus, you could go to the Morbid Zoo on youtube.com and you could scroll back maybe 2 years and there you'll find it. I made a whole video about Hellraiser, and one of the things about Hellraiser is that Clive Barker dips out of that franchise. Clive Barker is the creator of Hellraiser, who wrote the original novella and whatever, created the characters. He dips out of that franchise after movie 2, and then they don't know what to do. So basically what they do is that in order to, in comics, this is called an Ashcan copy, where in order to keep the rights to your IP, you have to continually make stuff every 3 or 5 years or whatever. So what Hellraiser did is that in order No, go ahead.
You keep
No,
going.
no, go
I
ahead.
was going to say like the Kate Mara Fantastic Four.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
That was Fox Ashcan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So most of the Hellraiser movies, like 9 or 10 of the Hellraiser movies, are scripts that are then retrofitted to have Pinhead arrive at in the last 2 minutes and make it a Hellraiser movie. And the fact that and like that's considered very like that's like rinky-dink filmmaking. That's like lazy ass, shitty corporate, nobody's supposed to watch this movie type bullshit. And the fact that is now standard in A-list productions is super depressing.
Counterpoint, that was also what happened with Die Hard 2, which is a very good movie.
That's fair.
Because it was or maybe the third one, I don't remember, but one of them, one of the sequels to Die Hard, one of the good sequels to Die Hard, it was a different script, and then they put John McClane in.
And I wouldn't be super surprised to hear that that's something that happens, more frequently than we might expect. But like, one assumes that in most of those cases, you're picking a script that already works and thinking, oh, it's actually really intuitive to go ahead and put John McClane in this movie. Why don't we how would you feel if we just took your script and did that with it?
Yeah.
And then, bing, bang, boom, you have Die Hard 2. But like the way that, what makes it so awful in Hellraiser is that nobody's trying to hide it,
Right.
And it seems increasingly that in this sort of new IP dominated filmmaking world, nobody's trying to hide it there either for different reasons. It's extremely frustrating.
You think Tim Burton and you're like, oh, like Creepy Circus? Fuck
I
yeah.
love Big Fish. I remember being pretty excited to hear that Tim Burton was going to direct this because I thought like, yes, excellent. Like he's going to make it weird and dark and let's go. It seems to me that Tim Burton's under, pretty strict NDA.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody involved in this movie is under a pretty strict NDA. But like, even so, So after this movie, a couple years afterward, Tim Burton was like, oh yeah, I'll never make another movie with Disney again. They suck. It was like a bad experience, this and that. But I mean, he also, who knows how much, this movie absolutely reeks of studio interference. It's like
they all
do, but like this one to me though seems like the first one that sort of set the stage for what remakes would be forevermore, through today in a way that I think is pretty interesting to think about. But before I get to that, the like who knows how much this is a matter of studio interference or not, because I think that Tim Burton is a better artist than the quote I'm about to read you. But he's not blameless here, So somebody asked him, like, hey, what's your approach to this movie? Why'd you want to do this movie or whatever? And he said, the idea of running away to join the circus, is I'll quote, is a feeling that has always stuck with me. I never really liked the circus with the captive animals, the clowns, the uncomfortable death-defying acts, and, did I mention, the clowns? But I understood the idea of it, joining a weird family of outcasts who don't fit in with normal society, people who are treated differently. That's what Dumbo's about. Two things. I don't believe that he actually thinks that. I don't believe that Tim Burton doesn't like circuses. I don't believe...
It doesn't make sense.
I don't believe that Tim Burton is made uncomfortable by clowns. Get the fuck out. No. I don't know why he said this, but I don't believe it.
And it goes all the way up to the top!
But additionally, that is categorically not what Dumbo's about.
Yeah.
Dumbo is about pretty much the opposite of joining a weird family of outcasts. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, none of them were really outcasty. I watched, speaking of circus movies, I watched The Greatest Showman.
Bad movie.
I watched it. I was in I was with my wonderful girlfriend who did like when she watched the original Dumbo, it made her so sad that she didn't want to watch it again for the podcast. So I don't have any quotes from her today. But I was visiting her family, and we went to see it at an event, and I had seen that movie before, and I didn't like it, and I was like, okay, I do this thing where it's like I don't like to cut things off that I don't like the first time. Like I've tried octopus a couple times. Mm-hmm. I've tried calamari a bunch. So I'll watch The Greatest Showman again. I'm getting so distracted from my point. My point is like, as bad as that movie is, and as much as it whitewashes the legacy of Mr. Barnum, noted slave owner P.T. Barnum, and then later an abolitionist, which like good for him, I guess. That movie did a much better job of making the circus freaks freaky.
Yeah.
And then in this movie, it's like, well, you've got a hot guy who can lift things, and you've got a hot girl who can fly through the air, and you've got a hot guy who's missing an arm, but really good with animals, and you've got the most comically evil, like, hand who gets crushed by a pole for some reason.
Oh yeah, I had a really good quote from a critic about that. Peter Bradshaw from The Guardian. The drama elaborately creates a number of bad humans whose purpose it is to quarantine the good humans' heroic status. It's exactly what's happening here. In fact, it occurred to me when I was rewatching both the original and the new one last night. I hadn't seen the new one again since theaters. But if you are choosing, as I am, to see the old Dumbo as, whether intentionally or not, a pretty potent metaphor for the effects of racism and racial oppression, the new Dumbo is like formulaically a white savior movie.
I think the kid is half black.
Canonically?
I think so. I don't know. They never mentioned the race.
And also it doesn't matter because the elephants aren't coded black.
That's true. They're just animals.
They're just animals, which is what, as we've established, which is what racists think, low quote lower races of as being. Yeah. This is a movie that, like, the animals in the original Dumbo don't have any agency because they're not allowed to. And if they assert any agency, they're imprisoned and ripped away from their children.
Right.
In this movie, the animals don't have agency because they're animals. And the movie and everybody who made it it just so clearly doesn't have any faith at all that the inner lives of these creatures is going to translate properly to the audience unless you have some kind of brave ally doing that translation verbatim in your face, and then they can, take the role of relatable main character that is properly given to white people who are saving all the downtrodden, underclasses. Yeah. It's a fucking white savior movie.
It's also,
What the fuck? Yeah. Hey, we never even got into the production notes for this. This movie cost $170 million before marketing. It did not do well. Will Smith was attached at one point, similar role to Colin Farrell's. Eventually he dropped out, but then signed on for Aladdin later on. This movie is pretty interesting. It's very unlike the situation with Pinocchio, where like there's very much a vibe that that everybody involved with Pinocchio wanted every single audience member to forget it existed and not see it, And so there's not very much documentation of how that movie was made. But this movie, I mean, it's easy to forget, but this came out before COVID. It came out before Disney Plus existed. Disney was still very focused on theater runs as their main sort of marker of credibility or whatever. So there was a significant amount of coverage on the production of this movie. There's so much documentation about how they did the effects, how they used sound stages and when they didn't, and how brave Eva Green is for doing trapeze, even though she's afraid of heights, and like interviews with Danny DeVito's fucking hairstylist about how like his hair is an expression of his character or whatever. Like all the press leading up to this movie seems really optimistic about it. It's got this huge ensemble cast. Tim Burton is, always makes money. They'd seen pretty good success with Cinderella remake and Maleficent, and those were the first sort of experiments in this whole live action bullshit they were trying to do. So like it seems pretty clear to me. You can always tell like the vibe around the the press coverage, even though nobody says it explicitly. The vibe around this movie is that Disney thought it was going to be a huge hit. Yeah. And it wasn't. It comes out and the response is really mild. Critics are like, okay. Like it just doesn't, and audiences, it doesn't seem like anybody really knows what to make of this movie. I think they've got identical audience and critic scores on Rotten Tomatoes. They're both at like 42 or something. So obviously this is far from Disney's only live action failure, but it does seem kind of like this was Disney's first live action disappointment. It seems like they were kind of relying on this movie to act as the first confident foray into live action. They, huge investment, $170 million before marketing. Yeah.
Like outside of, because it feels like they kind of started with the movies they were like, this is obviously gonna be a hit, right? Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Maleficent, and now they're like, okay, we're doing with the live action remakes what we did with Guardians of the Galaxy, which is like we're throwing out the weird one. Everyone's gonna love it. We're putting so much money and effort into it. It's gonna be great, and then it's this. Yeah, it's this, which is not.
It's not great. It's not even good, and there's no pandemic to blame, and Disney Plus doesn't exist yet, so they can't just like shunt it onto streaming and pretend it did great. I am certain if this came out 2 years later, they would have put it on streaming and they would have announced what a success it was.
Well, so that's really interesting to say, because Dumbo flopping at the box office is the reason Pinocchio went right onto Disney Plus.
Yes, plus the pandemic. I wonder when. I assume Disney Plus was at least in development at this time, right? Like they were certainly well, they were already thinking of a existed. Yeah, but I mean they didn't own Hulu until a year ago.
No, they didn't fully own Hulu until a year ago, but they partially owned Hulu the whole time. Okay. Hulu started as a one-third between NBC, ABC, and Fox.
Okay. I didn't know that. It seems unbelievable to me that there wouldn't have at least been, initial talks surrounding a Disney-specific streaming service at this point. Yeah.
I'm sure they've been talking about it since.
And it seems like
Netflix
this was
came out.
Sure, and it seems like this was.
Wait, hold on.
Did you discover something?
I did discover something. Dumbo. Hold on. Context. Dumbo came out on March 11th. Disney Plus launched in November of the same year of 2019. So they for sure it was in the pipeline.
Okay, yeah. But they were trying to hedge their bets as much as possible. It was not clear whether theaters were well and truly dead. Yeah, I'm certain that all the, if if there's anything positive to say about, Disney executives, they are nostalgic. So if they have any strong opinions about how movies are made, I would expect that a bunch of people who make big decisions in Disney are the kinds of people who are like, no, movies should be seen in the theater because that's how I saw movies, I do not think that that's a good reason to only show movies in theaters, but I am sad that theaters are kind of dying.
I love theaters.
Theaters are great. These are two different problems. This is a technology problem, but it's not a yes.
Sorry, you can definitely hear this fucking garbage truck in my mic right now.
I can't hear it.
But that's okay. You'll just cut it out.
Yeah, the whole like streaming versus theater thing, like it's a technology problem. But it's not that theaters are always better. Like, I like the accessibility of streaming. I don't think it's good to just, make decisions off nostalgia, but I do think that if there's any kind of creativity in the executive suites at Disney, it's out of nostalgia, Let's see.
Yeah.
What else do I have for... I guess that's the... Yeah, I guess that's all I have for production notes.
Yeah.
But I can bitch about this movie all day. It fucking sucks. It sucks.
It's not good. Okay. We know it's bad. What's your favorite part of the movie? Let's get a little positivity in here.
I like it when the little girl says twice, scene after scene, I don't want to be in the circus. I want to be a scientist and work with my mind. Twice she says this. She says it once in one scene, and then the next scene happens, and she says it. That's not my favorite part. Okay, let me try and think of something positive.
That was actually your favorite part.
Is there anything I like? The costuming is really beautiful. They look really good.
Great.
That's it.
I actually kind of liked Michael Keaton's performance. Sometimes you watch these movies and it's like there was not enough communication between the creative people on what kind of movie they were making. And I think that like Michael Keaton, maybe a little bit Danny DeVito, were the only ones, and then the South African guy with alopecia, maybe the only three actors in the movie who were like aware that it was a Tim Burton movie.
Right.
And then everyone else was like, this is a high school play.
Yeah. Oh my God. Michael Keaton doesn't think much of his own performance in this movie. Did you find that? He said.
I thought you did. I thought you did the modern.
I did. I don't know what you look up and what you don't look up. I don't want to, assume you don't do research.
What did Michael Keaton say about it?
He said that he sucked in that movie and that he felt like he let Tim Burton down. And Tim Burton was in that interview also, and he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So to me, it just seems like I don't know, whatever. I don't know what's in Michael Keaton's heart, but it doesn't seem like he had a very good time on this movie either. Making the animals not talk, turning Timothy Mouse into 7 different people. Why? I just don't understand
Efficiency.
Like, if you're gonna do that, right? Like, if you're gonna get rid of Timothy Mouse and you're doing a live action remake, it seems intuitive to me that if you're remaking Dumbo for live action, you get one human child to replace Timothy Mouse. And that's it. The human child is the one who rides the elephant in the end, And look at that. I've just saved you $40 million of your budget. Why are there so many fucking people in this movie? It doesn't make it. I hate it so much. We discussed last time with Pinocchio how allergic Disney is to offending anybody. I think this is a movie that really suffers as a result of that. And not like,
Dumbo?
Yeah. And like when I say offending anybody, like when we talked about it with Pinocchio, we were talking very specifically about like, we don't want to scare children. We don't want to make children uncomfortable. We don't want to do anything that might piss off the one PTA mom that like calls Disney every week or whatever. And like, I think that's what results in this this like white savior ass formula, you know, where it's like, there is the circus bad or not, you know, tell me.
Yes.
They have to do everything twice in this movie to hedge their bets. And
it's Danny DeVito's kind of shitty, but then he turns out to be
yeah.
fine. And he was also fine the whole time. And also Colin Farrell's kids love him, but also they're frustrated.
What is the point?
And,
I guarantee you that both of us, not like Disney would ever let this happen, but it would be kind of a fun exercise if we had like access to perfect information or whatever. I guarantee you that both of us could go through this script and pick out the lines that were either added or altered by an executive with like 86% accuracy. It is so disjointed. None of it makes any sense. There's so many cul-de-sacs. Yeah. It's a fucking mess.
I don't think they know how to like, I think Disney has an animal problem.
Oh yeah.
Where they're like, it looks so good on 2D, which is why they used to do it so much, and it looks so fucking bad, you know, in this like except weirdly in Pinocchio.
Yeah.
But every other movie, and we'll talk about this when we get to Lion King. That's why I hate Lion King so much. It looks so bad in every other movie. But they're like trapped in this live action strategy, and they refuse to, you know, but it's at the same time, it's like they're capable of making modern animation that like looks good. Like Moana is fun, Frozen is fun, Tangled is fun and has cute animals and isn't weird and creepy. But it's like when you get to that, when you try to put them in there with humans and you try to make it photorealistic, it's just not ever gonna look good.
And also like and I think this sort of speaks to the sort of reigning ethic and ideology that runs Disney right now. And the 101 Dalmatians will be a perfect opportunity to talk about this at length. But like, if you're gonna make a live action movie about animals, like, don't be a pussy. Use real animals. You know?
Yeah.
Like, what there's no elephant handlers in LA. Like, get some real elephants.
Doubtful.
What is the matter with you?
Yeah.
You know, like 101 Dalmatians. Part of what's really, really fun about this movie, about that movie, is that like you can tell that they spent like days and days on set with these dog actors, you know, getting them to perform different things for different specific shots they had in mind and editing those together to make it appear as though they are emoting in a way that you would expect a dog to, you know, like that is the sort of live action corollary to studying your subject really, really deeply so that you can replicate its emotivity on film in animation, you know, and so like to create these elephants out of whole cloth, I just don't get it. I don't understand why, other than to say, look at how much money we spent on this CGI. Isn't that impressive? You know?
No, it's
not.
It's not.
I hate this movie. I think it's a better movie qualitatively than Snow White, but
yeah,
that's not saying much.
it's a very, like, Snow White is a Frankenstein of a movie. This is just like a really ugly corpse.
And on that note,
which movie did you like more? That's one of the things that we end with. I would ask you what your favorite song was, but they didn't make this one a musical.
God, fuck this movie.
It was such bullshit. I also liked the original Dumbo more. I thought it was much better.
It's so much better.
Instead of watching new Dumbo, what should people watch this week?
I went and saw Together last week, which is that weird Alison Brie, Dave Franco horror movie. Kind of fun. I don't know. I haven't gotten to see a whole lot else because I've been working. You know, you got to feed yourself. Oh. But it is fun. So if you're into horror, you could go see Together. and that'd be probably a pretty good use.
I
of
could go
you
see
could
it?
you couldn't. No. You specifically, Gus. You should not see together. But if you, the listener,
Is it scarier? Is it scarier than Alien?
yes,
I'm not gonna watch it.
I don't know if it's scarier than Alien. You'd like it less than Alien.
Well, I'll probably watch it anyway. I don't know. Who cares? What do I think you should watch? It's not watching, but it's playing. I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 with my wonderful girlfriend.
That's exciting.
Oh my god. It's so much fun. What an excellent game that is. Extremely well written. Great storylines.
Isn't that the one?
Good job.
Is that am I insane, or is that the one that Elon Musk pretended he was like a top 5 player in?
No, that's Diablo.
Right.
That's Diablo. I think he did it for both Diablo 4 and Path of Exile
It's
2.
Path of Exile, yeah.
No, Baldur's Gate 3 is the story-based, turn-based RPG from Larian Studios, set in the engaging world of Dungeons and Dragons: The Forgotten Realms. We're not sponsored
Yet.
although yet.
That's fun. I tried to play
cool.
Dungeons and Dragons once, and it's not for me. I'm not patient enough.
I love it so much.
I like
have
waiting
such
for
a
other
good
people's
time.
turns. No, no thanks.
I have a campaign running right now where they're all a PI. They've been framed for a murder. It's great. It's super fun. Anyway, thanks for joining us on the 3rd episode. Oh my gosh, of Once More with Feeling. In a couple weeks, we'll be back looking at Cinderella, 1950 and 2015. Wow,
That'll be fun.
that's
super
exciting.
super
Cinderella's
50s
like
movie.
Yeah, but also Cinderella, live action Cinderella, that's like the first of this sort of type of the Disney live action. So that'll be really interesting.
It will.
Yeah. If you want to support us, check out our Patreon. With Feeling Pod. No, With Feeling Pod. It's just the name of the podcast, where you can become a member of our movie club and get exclusive access to the show's Discord and some other goodies. Follow us at various social medias at With Feeling Pod, P-O-D. Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns? Email us at withfeelingpod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And, you know, maybe we can get into a fun little email fight over our various tastes in movies. Thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Often stripped of love, just till I feel